like, literally, it was like the gays, the rednecks, the straights, they were all together, loved with the butterflies.
America.
Everybody's happy. But everyone is happy in Dollywood, and they like each other in Dollywood.
All right. Well, we're searching for this answer to how
I'm just telling you, Dollywood is the fucking answer for everything. So we're in there, but then you leave and you go to Pigeon Forge, which is now not a small town. It is a big town of a lot of like fried dough places. The Pigeon Forge is where she was born, but now it's a town based on Dollywood.
Pigeon Forge?
That's where she's from. You need to keep up. You need to keep up with the Dolly information.
Pigeon Forge.
That's the name of the town, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
I know. What does it mean?
I don't know.
Okay, so is it a holler?
It was a holler, but now it's a giant strip mall, essentially, of all this stuff. And my son happens to love cooking, so there was a sign that said, biggest knife store. And we're like, oh, let's get you some cooking knives. So we pull up, park the car, and the part I didn't see was biggest knife and gun store, right? So we walk in, and so he's going to look for some knives, and it's like this gun supermarket, essentially. And so I go in and I'm looking around and there's a woman and she's filling up her cart with bullets, just filling them up with bullets, right? Doesn't look like she can afford that many bullets because bullets are not inexpensive, just so you know. Filling them up, cart with them. And so I go, I shouldn't do this. This is what I do all the time. I'm like, why do you need that many bullets?
Right.
And she's like, it's my right to have that many. I'm going to use a Southern accent because she had one. She says, it's my right to own them. I said, I didn't say you shouldn't buy them. I said, what do you need them for?
Right.
She goes, well, you're questioning why I wanted so many bullets. I go, no, I want to know why.
Right.
What are you going to shoot with that? Is it like a can? Is it a target? Is it a fake deer? Is it deer?
Squirrel.
Is it a squirrel? That's a lot of bullets for a squirrel. I was like, why do you need so many? And she started going on about how Antifa was coming for her small town. I go, I don't think Antifa wants to come to your shitty little town.
Right.
I don't feel like that's the case. And I kept arguing with them. I'm like, why do you need that many? Why do you need to pay that money? Don't you need that money for other things like your kids or education or things like that? And then I was sort of talking with the gun people. I'm like, why do you need 7? Like, do you need 7? Like, well, we can have them. I said, I didn't say you couldn't have them. I'm like, why do you need? And I was doing this and I sort of started to get a crowd. And my son was like, let's get the fuck out of here, Mom. What are you doing? And I was like, what am I doing? Because they all have guns and you can carry them there,
Right.
I believe. I don't know. But nonetheless.
It's amazing. Of course,
That's my gun story.
We hear about guns and stuff like that, but it is amazing how much, if you just do this kind of thing, like I should have been in a lot of fights in my life.
Yeah.
Because I am the same way.
Right.
And yet I've never been in one.
Me neither.
I just think like if people sense that you're real about it and you're not doing it to make fun of them.
Right. I wasn't. I wanted to know. I wanted to know. I didn't think they needed that many.
They respect balls.
Right, right.
Even if it's not in something that they agree with.
Right. Well, they were sort of like, do you not like guns? I said, I like safe gun ownership. I think certainly it's in the Constitution. You should certainly be able to
Well, here's
own
a sentence you'll never hear in America.
What?
If you're going over to the holler, holla. I'm saying black people do not live in the holler.
No. Some do. It's not true.
No, really?
There were black people in the store. Yeah, sure. Lots of people. Maybe they were buying knives. Maybe they were buying guns. I don't know.
I mean, Appalachia I think of as I'm often saying to people, well, maybe you're exaggerating. Racism still exists for sure. Maybe you're exaggerating. But Appalachia seems like the epicenter of where the kind of racism that we thought of as like actual real racism still, unfortunately, lives on.
My grandparents had, I would call casual racism, and I don't mean to use that in a negative.
I know exactly what you mean.
Just they'd say things and you're like, oh, no, honey, don't say. But that she would do that about the Poles or the, my sister-in-law is Irish, and she said she called her the potato. Things like that, or she's drunk or something like that.
Right.
But one of the things that was interesting, my family's from West Virginia, my dad's family.
Oh, really?
So Appalachia, right? And we went there. My dad died when I was little, and my aunt was just very religious, lovely person, couldn't be lovelier, very, very Jesus-y. Jesus was every 5 words in. And I respected that. That was her faith. And we went there, and she gave me a box of stuff for my dad, and handed it to me, and I was looking through it. I was like, oh, wow, it's all these letters that he had and all kinds of things. And then I found some playbills. Looked down at the playbill. A blackface show, right? A minstrel show. My dad was in a minstrel show in high school, 1956, Morgantown, West Virginia, right? Or whatever, earlier than that, 52. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, my God, wow. And then I saw the script and I'm like, he was Boxcar Willie. And I was like, oh my fucking God, my dad played blackface. I didn't know this about him. Also, it was at the time, remember the governor of Virginia, the Democratic governor Northam was caught in black. Anyway, so I look at it and my kids didn't know anything about this really, that much. And they go, what is that? And I go, well, it's blackface. And people would dress up. And they were younger at the time. And I said, they dressed up and well, why would they do that? I'm like, well, they thought it was funny and it wasn't really funny, but this is what they did. This is what happened. And then white people would put on shows like this. And I was trying to explain it to them, like in a very even-handed tone. And I was like, and I don't think it was now today we can't do that. And it wasn't funny and it was racist, clearly racist. And then all of a sudden my aunt came out of the kitchen. She goes, oh, that was so funny. Everybody loved it. and I go, okay, everyone didn't love it. And I was trying to help my kids. And she goes, no, everybody did. And I said, I bet black people didn't like it in your town.
Right.
And she goes, no, everybody did. And I said, they didn't say it, but they didn't like.
Of course.
My guess is they didn't like it. Maybe one did, but Candace Owen did. But whatever. Whatever. I'm teasing.
No.
So she's like, no, they didn't. I'm like, oh, they didn't. And so that was it. I was like, but kids, like, look, today we got to look. That was then. This is now. We know better. I guess we learn, we evolve. You don't do that now. It's disrespectful. It's rude. And it's just stupid. It's also stupid, just at the very basic. And so later when we were washing dishes, my son goes, oh my God, I can't believe my grandfather was in blackface. I've been reading about it on the internet now. This is crazy. And I said, yeah. And all of a sudden my aunt said, I'm not racist, you know. My aunt who never says a crossword said, I'm not racist, you know. And very upset about it because she didn't want to be seen as racist because she's a Christian. And I said, okay. And she goes, well, I'm not. And I said, that probably was a little racist. I said, we're all racist in some fashion. And it's okay. Like, it's changed. Things have changed. But you have to realize, what it was. I've never seen her upset once except that one time. And it was because I thought she was racist, or my kids did. And it was a really interesting, I don't like learning moments, but it was sort of like, it was such an insight to a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of people.
Exactly.
It was such an insight. And she's, I would say, a good person, but she just, it was interesting. I'll finish this last thing is, you ever seen the movie Origins? Ava DuVernay did it. And didn't get much attention. Great movie, I have to say. It was based on Isabel Wilkerson's book called Caste. She was trying to change the idea of how we look of racism as more of a caste system. It's an amazing book. It's about castes in India, the caste of racism in this country, and what was the third caste? I'm blanking. Anyway, it was just showing how it's about social levels and stuff, and we should see it through that prism versus just racism. And we can start to heal if we see it as a caste system.
Right.
And it's a really interesting book and somewhat controversial. I interviewed Isabel right after January 6th. It was a great interview, but then I interviewed Ava DuVernay about it. But at the end of the movie, my favorite part of it was she lives in this house, and it's about Isabel's life. And she lives in this house, and there's a scene where she runs into a plumber who's fixing the basement, which is leaking, and there's a lot of mold. He's wearing a Trump hat, Make America Great Again hat. And she doesn't know what to do because here's a black woman with the makeup. It was really tense. Like, you're sort of like, oh no, this is going to be a problem. So they have a really actually good conversation about his life, she made it about his life and they didn't get into this trope of who they each were, liberal black woman, Trump, white guy. And at the end of the movie, they say something that I thought was really profound, which was, look, this is the house we live in. It was built on racism. It was built on all kinds of injustices, right? And the bones of the house have problems. And in her case, it was a framing, foundational problem. So it's been built badly over the years. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but there's a lot of bad things.
Right.
That's not really what we need to be arguing about anymore. What we should argue about is what we're going to do with it now.
Exactly.
And that was a really interesting. And I thought, okay, that's a way to get people. And you don't excuse what happened.
No.
Because I think what's
But just
happening in the
let's live
South
in
about
the-
pretending it didn't happen is
Let's live in
fucking
the
bullshit.
year we're living in.
Right, but you have to live in the world we're living with a knowledge of the world
Correct.
we live
And the
in.
year we're living in carries the scars of the past. This past lives on in the present. Like history lives on in the moment we're living in.
Except that some people are indeed trying to erase it.
Yes.
100%.
Some people are trying to erase it, and some people are trying to exaggerate it. There is a lot.
I'm more against the erasers than the exaggerators. I can take the exaggerators. 'Cause
Well,
we can
there is
correct.
a lot of weaponization of white.
Certainly.
Look at that. You agreed. I didn't even get to the end of the sentence.
Go ahead.
No, I'm glad. Please cut me off.
But I don't know why you have to equalize them, because the erasers are the real danger of that.
No, I disagree. I think there's a lot of bad that comes from people weaponizing white guilt, is what I was going to say, because you preach on the one hand, like Joe Biden the other day, that you have to work 10 times as hard, that the world is just so stacked against you, which is not, first of all, it's not true. It can be somewhat stacked against you, and it can help you somewhat to be a person of color. I certainly know this personally, anecdotally from people. So, and of course, there are statistics about it. I mean, I think a third of, was it in 2022, third of white kids applying to college lied and said they
About
were
the racial thing. I understand that.
They said they were people of color. Okay, so I'm not saying racism is over or that it's all better to be black. No, but it's a lot more complicated than it used to be.
Except that the erasure or the banning of books, I think, is a very different. That is people who have had
But
years.
erasure, you mean like not teaching black?
Real history, actual history. And by the way,
I
the
think
way
that,
we
I think
were
that's
taught history,
mostly a bullshit charge. I mean, I was in that all-white town we talked about before, New Jersey, like in the 1960s. We learned what slavery was, and we learned it was wrong.
That's correct, and that's the way it should be taught.
Right, and it was. I'm saying, but this is an all-white town in 1968, and they weren't erasing history.
So why is the Republican Party obsessed with not talking about it anymore?
Because part of it is a reaction to what happened.
Talking about it too much.
Yes. Part of it is a reaction to the 1619 kind of idea, Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, that racism is everything. That's what critical race theory really means. We have to see everything. And I would agree, it is America's biggest, baddest, awfulest sin. There's no close second. But not everything is racism. That's the kind of theme.
But do you actually think everyone, I think what happens is certain people get outsized attention for this stuff, for some of it, which is nonsense, it's over the top. And they get, Tom Wolfe wrote about it 100 years ago, about, the meeting with the Black Panthers.
Not really 100 kids, if you don't know Tom Wolfe.
But Tom Wolfe wrote that wonderful piece, which is great. Joan Didion did it. Others did it.
Yeah.
And those were great to point out the idiocy.
Radical chic.
Radical chic.
Yeah.
Everyone was right to point that out.
What year was that, we imagine?
60s, 70s.
60s.
70s, right? 70s.
I think Joan Didion was 70s, but late 60s, 70s. Yeah.
So it was funny to point it out, but more corrosive. And I, as someone who grew up gay in America, I can tell you it's very hard, and you have to do a lot of work not to be pissed off about it. I'm not, because I felt great about being gay. But I can tell you, you can see how corrosive it was on so many levels in the way society. And so it takes a much stronger person not to have been affected by it. And it's really hard.
I always say,
it really is. And I'm not asking for...
No, I always say there's two ways you can see an issue not clearly. You can be too far from it. Racially, I will admit to that. I'm too far from it. I'm not black, basically. So I cannot know. I cannot know it. Know what it's like to walk through life like that. You can also not be seeing things clearly by being too close to something. That's the fly on the Mona Lisa theory. The fly on the Mona Lisa cannot appreciate. And
what?
Well, it's assuming a fly could appreciate great art. In other words, you're too close to it, so you can't see. If your nose was pressed up against a great painting, you could not.
Sure, but let's get to the Mona Lisa. What do you think? I'm like,
Nothing. I've said the same thing for years. typical like sheep thinking. Like somebody made the Mona Lisa like this greatest thing of art, and now every moron in the world makes a trek and takes a picture of it with their cell phones, as if there's not a million pictures of it in the world already. And then somebody throws puke on it to protest the rainforest. I mean,
I kind of like those people. I kind of like those people.
Who?
The people who throw things on it. It's covered, because it's covered up. Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, really?
I like people who do things like that.
Don't try it with that Elvis poster.
I'm not. Are you kidding?
I will fucking fuck
I've
you
been
up.
to Tupelo.
I've been to Graceland.
Well, that's like beginner Elvis. Sorry.
Oh, you a big Elvis fan?
I'm a huge Elvis fan.
Explains the hairdo.
I love thank you. I love country music. Again, I am a lesbian who you're not going to figure out. I wanted to be in the military. I've gotten married twice.
Well, the military, that is not hard
Only
to figure
gay people like the military and being married. Only gay people these days, just so you know, like being in the military. We wanted to be in the military.
Don't tell me you drive a Subaru, because that's like...
I had a Lesbaru. Yes, I did.
I always got that joke from my writers about
the Lesbaru?
Lesbian Subaru. And it was like, I didn't know what they were talking about.
The Lesbaru? You didn't know about the Lesbaru?
No.
It's called the Lesbaru.
But
try to keep it.
I assume...
Now we drive Kias, just so you know. Hybrid Kias. That's what we're doing now.
Why? What is that?
They're great, because we have a lot of kids and we need 3 rows, and we like the hybrid idea. I also have a
Do most
Chevy
lesbians
Bolt.
have kids now?
Oh, a lot of them. You know why? I told you this on your show. We're building the militia Etheridge.
Oh.
Did I not tell you this? I yeah.
But when you say lesbian, like...
My kids can shoot and be sensitive. Sorry. Shoot guns and be sensitive. Yes, most lesbians have kids. Many gay people have kids now. We have great fucking kids. They're great, I have to say.
But like when you say lesbian, to me that's like an old school term.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not.
Queer is a new one.
But like, there is like a lot going on in the LGBT community that like muddies the waters for someone like me on the outside, who's like an old school, you know, oh, you have a penis and you use it with women. What's wrong with you? Everybody has their...
No, we like them too.
No, I know.
Right.
But...
it muddies it for you.
Well, I'm just... like there's so much like bisexual and like transitioning, but then there's like this, like, no, I just like women. Like, I'm not like quitting on men. I just really never that's not my thing.
No, I had boyfriends galore.
Like I said, most lesbians had boyfriends.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
That's not true. It's what I...
That is not true. And he did not.
Honey, I'm going to pull this
off. Let me just ask you,
Clarence!
No, let me just tell you.
The next road stop, we're pulling over.
You're getting the point isn't it confusing these days for people like you, right? Is that what you're saying? But honestly, we don't care if you're confused.
Oh, I don't care either.
Nobody cares if you're confused.
I'm just asking.
What?
Like...
What is your question?
Well, like Andrew Sullivan writes a lot about like as an old school homosexual man. Yeah. He
truly is.
He feels like there's stuff, and I'm a little stoned now, so I can't reproduce it exactly, but he feels like there's a lot of stuff going on with the LGBT community that is like antithetical to what he marched for, and that's wrong?
I don't think, why does he care what they want to do? So what if they want to do that? Like, to me, one of the years ago...
Well, I think he thinks they're transitioning kids sometimes who are just really gay kids.
I do have facts on that. It's not that many kids. And there's more straight kids having, you know, all kinds of body surgery than there are trans kids. But we're not going to have the trans argument here because it's a very complex argument. Here's what I think he's saying that I think to me is a problem is... One of the great things about being gay is you be who you are. And if you're truly a free speech person and you're truly be who you are, then just let them fucking call themselves whatever they want. And some of it's trendy, certainly.
Okay,
no
great.
question.
That's what I say.
Some of it's trendy. But some of it's quite real. And they
Absolutely.
So why make their lives a living fucking hell by not letting them express themselves? And some of them are going to get over it and some of them aren't.
Well, look, you just said you don't want to have the argument here, so
No, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, we are an outlier now as Americans.
That's correct.
As far as our view of no, any kid for any reason at any age says they want to switch up. We hide it from the parents. We double down on it.
That does not happen.
It does happen in schools.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Minor.
And we
small.
enable it in every way possible. This is something that
Don't enable it in every way possible. See, this is nonsense. It's
No,
a
not.
small group of people that are affected, and we've made it the biggest problem. Like, remember that interview that the governor of West Virginia had? I think it was with Stephanie Ruhle, and they passed these laws about, and I'm not getting into the sports thing because I interviewed both Martina Navratilova, who's against it, and a very famous runner who's for it.
And Caitlin.
And all kinds of people. I get that particular argument. I get that it's difficult. But they had the governor of West Virginia, and they passed a law about trans athletes, right? Very complex and requires a lot of really good people to have cogent arguments and not the crazies to discuss it.
Right.
She said, how many people are affected? He didn't know of any. They're passing laws when they should be passing laws about economy, about jobs, about everything else. This is their fucking obsession, and it's a small thing. That's one of the issues. The second thing is with Andrew, and he and I have argued about this, is the whole crux of the gay movement is be who you are. And so if people get to... I was at a party in Silicon Valley where someone said, when marriage was going on, and, that was the gay marriage thing. This was Proposition 8. There was all kinds of mishigas around that, about gay marriage. And this venture capitalist, a very famous venture capitalist, said, I don't mind lesbians. That's always their joke. I love a lesbian. That's the first joke. And the second part goes, but I don't know if I don't understand this gay man sex thing. That's how they said it in the party. And everyone was silent because this was an important person. I couldn't do it. And I went, you know what? If you don't like gay man sex, you should stop having it.
Oh.
And he goes, what? And I said, you shouldn't have sex you don't like. I think that's wrong.
Right.
And he said, I'm not having gay sex. I said, you just said you don't like gay man sex. Why did you say that? Are you lying about having gay man sex? You're either lying about having gay man sex or you're having gay man sex you don't like. Either way, you need to stop.
Right.
And he's like, that's not what I said. And then I looked at him and I said, it's none of your fucking business what people do in their bedrooms. It's none of your business. If they want to fuck men, they can fuck men. If they want to fuck women, they can fuck women. If they want to call themselves Sylvia and, go dancing on weekends, it's none of your fucking business. And that, to me, is the heart of gayness. And so if young people are trying different costumes on and off, I don't know why we don't let them do it. And let me tell you, as someone who grew up gay, when you couldn't do that, it was toxic. Furtiveness is toxic.
I don't disagree with anything you said. My issue comes in with medical.
Right, certainly.
Because
I do have statistics down here to push back at you.
I'm not going to get into any sort of specifics, but I am 68 years old.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to be 68 years old without having experienced issues. Mm-hmm. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Life's a rough road.
What does that mean?
Means like your health is not going to be perfect from zero to death.
That's correct.
Nobody dies completely healthy. Okay.
That's not true. That's my next book.
Well,
I'm writing about that.
If you get shot, you do.
Right. No, but there's stuff going on that's going to change that.
Well, you're going to degenerate in some ways. Anyway, I feel great. Don't ever worry about me, people. But all I'm saying is, medically, I could know in my mind, absolutely, I am not a man. I still wouldn't do anything medically because I know we are not that advanced medically where we can pull that off without serious health repercussions. I mean, I don't take aspirin. Okay, I believe we are living not in the future, we're living now, where medicine can't do things like switching out organs without, I'm not saying it doesn't solve some problems sometimes, but medically, you can't look me in the eye and tell me there are not going to be serious health repercussions down the road for doing anything like that, or puberty blockers, making my hormones, which is the very natural part of the body, flow in the opposite direction. That's your choice. I'm not against you being able to make that choice. I think you can do anything you want with your body, including doing that. But for me, my choice, and that doesn't make me a bigot. That just makes me someone who puts my health top of the list. But here's my health. I love sex, sexuality, but it is under health.
Except why the obsession with this small problem, or possible that we can figure out?
I'm not obsessed.
I know, but I'm just saying the right certainly is, because you know why? I'll tell you why.
Good
because
politics.
one is good politics, and first of all, they tried with the bathrooms, and nobody gave a fuck, because most people, someone tell them about airplane bathrooms, because we're all in the same one on those airplanes, right? They didn't work on
Not
bathrooms.
at the same time.
Sometimes.
No.
But
they're talking about being in the bathroom.
I get it, but
with a penis.
But I've been in lots of bathrooms with men and women. It's not that fucking big a deal, honestly.
Not usually.
Find some new problem.
Right.
That didn't work.
I couldn't agree more.
That didn't work. Sports tends to work, and now this transitioning thing works. Well, it is an avenue into attacking gay and lesbian people on the whole. They're coming
there's
after
a legitimate
marriage.
side to this. Excuse me.
But they're not concerned
Women
about
very reasonably do not want penises in prisons, and they do not want them in the swimming pool, and they do not want them in the locker room. Women feel that way.
I don't know. I feel some women do, some women don't. I respect the people who don't want to see the penises. I don't particularly.
What do you think? I'm sorry. I thought I was on The View. Have you ever been on The View?
I was. It was great.
You should.
Let me just tell you why I love The View. I was
on
The View.
If you were on The View
Can I just tell you?
Can you imagine if you were on The View every day?
Can I tell you? They asked me to be guest host this morning, and I couldn't do it because I'm here with you. Baller. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
I love her, and the best thing that ever happened to me on my entire book tour was I was on The View, and I was talking to Sunny, and then Whoopi came over to me, and all she said is, "You're cool," and then walked away. And I was like, my life is done. I'm going to, I am done.
I talked to her a long time after the show. It was so great to reconnect. I hadn't seen her in a long time. She's the best.
She's fucking cool.
She's iconic.
She is.
Everything. I mean,
she can do whatever she wants.
She's doing whatever she wants.
Is.
I mean, she lives in Italy.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. She told me that.
How?
Yeah.
She's on that View every morning.
I thought the same thing. Obviously, she has time off. And,
yeah.
But that's where she considers herself to live. And I think that's a really cool place to live. I couldn't do it myself. I'm kind of hooked on this crazy mixed-up country.
You have this compound here.
I'm not moving anywhere.
You have a compound.
I'm going to die right here in this chair.
In the compound.
Maybe tonight.
I wish I had a compound. I don't have a compound.
Compounds are great.
I should have a compound. I have children.
Oh, no, they're so great.
I could have them all live there with me.
Right. I mean, when I think of how when I was 18 to 28, I had no money, the worst sort of slummy apartments in college and in New York, always with roommates I didn't like, never had a bathtub I could get into, smelling other people's shit in the bathroom. It's like, it really makes it worthwhile.
It makes it worthwhile to have your compound.
It just makes it nicer, to...
Well, you can't live in stocks, they say. You can live in your houses. You can't live in stocks. That's why a lot of people buy houses. Can I ask you a question? Do you like, and I know we have to go soon, but do you regret not having children?
Fuck no. There was one thing...
I'm having them all for you, me and Elon Musk, but...
There was one thing in my life that has been steady from the beginning...
Steady.
To the end, and that is when I was a kid, I didn't like kids.
Yeah.
And I still don't.
Oh.
That is just steady. Other things up and down and blah, blah, blah. That one right across the board. Now, I don't hate them. I hate babies. I don't babies are gross. I don't want to, I've never touched a baby except once in a sketch when I had to.
Yeah.
They have nothing to offer. I understand you need to go through that phase to become a human.
They're a little in need.
But I can talk to a kid. Kids actually like to talk to me. We want to do a club random where I talk to kids.
Oh, that sounds
it would be fun.
Illegal. I want to do a club. I'm going to have a carousel.
Me smoking my pot with 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
I mean, no, it's not. We're never going to be. No, we're never going to be able to do it. But
the next court case.
I think it'd be fun to talk to kids because I talk to them probably the way you do.
Yeah.
I don't talk to them like I'm an adult talking to a child. I just talk to them like we talk to everybody. We just say what we think, and kids do that. So we're kind of on the same level.
Yeah.
Kind of the secret to, I feel like, preserving yourself and your sanity and feeling youthful even as you get older is keeping that quality, that childlike, not childish, but childlike quality of, as Richard Pryor used to say, if a kid says you're ugly, you're ugly.
It's true. It's childlike, but not childish. One of the things I talk about is the childishness of the tech people. They're childish. They like to say they're childlike, but they're childish. And a bad child at that.
Yeah. The thing you were talking about, performative before, who's the duty bank
Sam
Sam?
Bankman-Fried with his hair, the unmade bed. I call him the unmade bed.
All I had to do was go like this, and you know what
Yeah,
I was.
yeah, I know. He's the hair.
You know, he's a mess.
Yeah. Put on a shirt.
Yeah.
Put on a clean shirt.
Now we're on the newlywed game, and I have to
Right.
make you think he's a mess. He's in jail now.
We would win. Oh, God. All my liberal
okay,
friends are
Sam-
going to be like, oh, you're getting along with Bill Maher. Jesus, Kara.
See, that's what I hate about America.
You do. You hate it.
I hate when people,
Oh.
like I'm friends with Ann Coulter. It's like, I hate that you like somebody. Fuck you. Fuck off. You want to unfriend me?
Okay.
Good luck. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Don't need
That's your
people
move.
like
My
that.
move is not goodbye. My move is not.
Goodbye to people who don't want
Yeah.
to.
I'm just like, then you don't have to like them. Just like I said to that veteran kid, don't fuck a man.
They're the
you
ones
don't
who
like
are
it.
starting it. They hate that I like somebody. I mean, that's kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
Is that your friends are going to not like
Yeah,
it?
but I won't go fuck you. I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, but it's just a bad
That's
attitude.
my answer to everything.
It's just
Okay.
a bad fucking
I don't care.
attitude.
I don't care.
It bothers me.
I don't care.
I do.
I don't care. My whole attitude towards life now is now I'm not as old as you, for example, but I am
For
62.
example.
I'm 61. A lot of my life is now okay. Like it's sort of like that. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You do that.
I think you got to have a little both. I mean, I'm certainly have the Irish in me still. That kind of like.
Nah.
But I also feel like I have mellowed, and that's nice too. I mean, it is great. I think that people have bucket lists. I think even better than a bucket list for me anyway. When a bucket list is things you want to do.
No, I know what that is.
I know. I'm telling everybody.
Okay.
That the list of things that I used to do that I no longer have to do.
Right.
Or don't. Yeah. Basically, have to do.
Yeah.
Like Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna. Sorry.
I made a vow never to read anything about Henry Kissinger again.
Yeah.
I was like, it's taking up mind space. I don't like him.
Sure.
On the whole, the China thing, okay, but otherwise, no, not so much. That's the kind of stuff. But what is on your bucket list right now?
Nothing. I'm saying I don't care about the bucket list. I care about the list of things I no longer want to do that I just want to squeeze out of my life. And I've been very successful, I think, at doing that. I mean, I feel like I very rarely do things I don't want to do. These last 2 days on a book tour in New York, an exception.
You did that. I know. You did look vaguely uncomfortable in every interview.
Oh, I did not. I did fantastic.
You did this. You had this long, 10-yard stare.
I so didn't.
You did. You did well. That's different than you. But every now and then you could see in your eyes. You're
this is what Sam Harris calls leftist mind
no,
reading.
No, it's not. I'm not mind reading. I can see your face. You're like, oh God, what am I doing here? No. You know that went through your head.
I know how I felt.
Yes.
But that's different. As a performer, you're a clown.
Right.
Okay. Now there's no business like show
a little
business.
Song,
There's
a little
no
dance,
business.
a little seltzer down your pants. I get that. I get that.
But I don't know anything. Sean, ready?
I am.
Oh.
I'm just pouring a drink.
Oh, thank God.
Can I pour you one?
Honey, I'm home. And I hope you have my. Please, look what I did this myself.
I won't hurt you.
Give me a hug. How are you?
How are you?
Do you have my martini ready when I walk in? Is that so much to ask of a domestic partner? Can you imagine if you and I were two gay men living together? And
well, maybe we're imagining everything else, and that's what's actually been happening.
That has not been happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not
Sometimes
start
I
a
have this
rumor.
odd feeling that I'm in a different place than I think I am.
When you did Milk, how'd you feel about the kissing men?
A funny thing is, I am disgusted by eating off of, even if it was a relative, when anyone, but particularly men, eat off my plate, I'm pretty much done with the meal. I can't touch it.
Why would a man be eating off your plate?
Oh, your dad's sitting there and he goes, "Oh, what's that? We're gonna bite of that or whatever." I just didn't like the whole idea of men's spit, and so for me, it was a bit of a. It was like in in some law, like international law enforcement, narcotics law enforcement, they've got hazard pay that they pay people who go into some of the. So I sort of saw it as like hazard pay without any additional pay, or like a stunt, like a big stunt. But my son was upset at the time. He was young, and I guess things that were said in school. He was upset that his father had kissed James Franco. And my daughter was upset that James Franco had kissed me.
And not her.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. Things have certainly changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, now you really wouldn't even be able to play the part because you're not actually gay.
I wouldn't be permitted. That's right.
Because you have to be what you are.
Yeah.
But,
we've talked about
sort of
that
the
now.
antithesis of acting, though.
Yeah.
So you must be over the moon about the Ukrainian attack. I don't know when we're dropping this, probably very soon, but a few days ago they did. I mean, it's cooler than Mission Impossible. The drones. I mean, to pack them into these trucks, surreptitiously get them near the airfields so that they could then independently, remotely fly out of the trucks and bomb the planes that are bombing Ukraine. I mean, that took the Israeli beeper attack on Hezbollah
And a
to
big chunk of the planes that have been a threat against every other country, including our own, all these years. So he made a.
It's about long-range nuclear bombers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that just blows my mind.
Well, I had been in Ukraine again a few, whatever it is, a month ago, let's say, Easter, the week of Easter. And the war had in the last year plus, so dramatically changed. It was clear that it was almost entirely drones and artillery.
So where does this put the war? I mean, like, we had been kind of moving toward, honestly, the Trump view, which always was kind of, look, Russia's going to win anyway. What are we killing all these people? It's kind of like the old John Kerry thing. How do you ask a man to be the last man to die for a mistake?
I've said from the very beginning, and I've felt every single day since it, that this war is Ukraine will prevail in this war. There's no question in my mind.
You mean get back all their territory?
Absolutely, the territory pre the 22nd of February, 24th of February, 24th, 22nd.
You're talking about the beginning of the war in 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all the territory.
Well,
or you might not Crimea.
Dealing with Crimea is a difficult subject for everybody.
Right.
But I think, yes, there will be no compromise on the territory.
That's not a common opinion.
But I understand it's not a common opinion. It wasn't a common opinion that the Vietnamese were going to kick our ass throughout the Vietnam War either.
And you were saying that then when you were 10?
Well, I was processing it through my adulthood and seeing, what is it? What is that hunger that's going to fight like that? And so here, that doesn't mean it's not going to come without a lot of horrible loss and destruction, and already has. And, one of the big parts of the story that is not discussed enough are the 30,000 children that they stole when they occupied those new territories. And now
about the Russians stole.
Yeah, kidnapped children.
Yeah.
Everybody in the United States screams and cries about how children are treated, and yet they somehow have let the political tone of this blind them to the necessity of the U.S. being more supportive.
Well, that's not going to happen. That's not what, Trump's going to be there for another.
They can do it with or without us.
3.5 years, or maybe ever. So I can't imagine in 3.5 years this war won't have resolved itself somehow. It's going to have to do it without America's help. I hope you're not counting on that.
I'm not counting on it, sir.
That's just not where Trump.
I think, one of the things is, this could create a war in Europe, in a sense, and Europe is definitely showing signs of really coming up to the game.
You mean defending? Trump always says NATO was too reliant on America. We paid too much into it. They should be defending themselves more. That's not all wrong.
Well, I'm not saying that that's all wrong.
No, I'm
what I'm saying is that because they're being forced into a pinch this
Yeah.
way, because they're clearly not just defending Ukraine on a principle. They understand the ramifications of a Russian victory there, and the way that would inevitably spread through Europe.
I don't think that's true. It would not inevitably spread through Europe. Russia is not strong like that. The idea that Russia is going to, I understand his desire. I mean, Putin would like to reconstitute the Soviet Union for sure.
Because they're not strong like that it happens. What Putin needs to do is this kind of an action every time he's going down politically. And that's the way he manipulates
He doesn't have enough.
Russian
He
people.
doesn't have enough soldiers. He doesn't have enough money. He doesn't have enough materiel. I mean, yeah, I guess it could be a drone war, but drones are cheap. Drones, like it really puts the lie to the new budget we have, which of course just is the one thing that both parties could always agree on, which is shoveling more money to the Pentagon, which they call defense, but really is defense contractors, to make shit that obviously in this age of drones are already obsolete. It's just about providing jobs back home and making shit that even the Pentagon sometimes says we don't want.
But you're looking at the conventional war notion. What I'm saying is, yes, he has enough to be a real threat again in this way. But in the meantime, you look at what's happening in Georgia now. You look at what had been happening in Ukraine, what he aims to have happen in Ukraine, where whether or not they before the invasion, where the pressure was to have a proxy, to have a puppet in leadership. And so it's not always an army coming across. This war, Putin has already declared that this war is against the United States. He's said it on numerous occasions when he says, saying Ukraine was a proxy of the U.S. And so, and the war on the U.S. has been a cyber war, but it has affected literally lives and certainly livelihoods.
Well, there's no doubt that he never lost his KGB bona fides. He's a guy who was raised in a system where it was the Soviet Union and the United States was an existential enemy. I get it. He never lost that. Now, there are people who would argue that we are the ones who made the mistake when we didn't disband NATO when the Soviet Union disbanded, because NATO was formed to confront the Soviet Union.
Or had we invited the former Soviet Union into NATO, perhaps then we would have had more responsibility to help build their institutions to be able to.
But that made no sense. NATO was an organization strictly formed to fight the Soviet Union. How can you then invite? It's like the Yankees are playing the.
Well, no. You have other great enemies, let's say. Right, China for one, and so building a coalition.
We all gang up against China.
Well,
yeah, that could work.
Yeah, and it was discussed. It was discussed at the time.
But China wasn't a power then. When the Soviet Union rolled up in '91, China wasn't some threat. I mean, it was the country they talked about as, ooh, watch out, they could be the rising power of the next century, which they turned out to be.
Well, but they were economically exploding.
They were
one of the biggest providers, along with the Russians, of weapons to the Vietnamese. We don't have to go back in time and the entire balance of it, but the bottom line was that Russia, while we were dancing, Perestroika and Gorbachev and Reagan and the walls come down, they never got a chance to dance there. The breadlines were longer, and oligarchy and gangsterism took over where the communist power void left off. And so,
the middle class also did expand. Once you got rid of state-owned industry, Moscow. I've never been, but I've certainly know people who've been before and after, and they say Moscow's a very alive city with a lot of people who are doing well. I mean, you go out at night in Moscow, you can have a good time. Yeah,
Moscow was a picture city. It is still today.
What does that mean?
I mean, that's the advertisement for Russia. It's
Yeah.
the ad.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get, listen, I went and did a,
Like the Paradise Ghetto.
yeah, for a movie thing, I did a little bit of training at Star City, which is about 40 kilometers outside of Moscow. And that's their NASA.
Oh.
That gives you a little inside view of the gas station with nuclear weapons that they are in so many ways. Nothing but chip paint on broken walls. And
Right, which is why I
Relic.
say I'm not worried that Putin's going to get his piece of Ukraine. I hope he doesn't. But if he does, that then he's going to roll into Poland. I just don't.
Okay, here's what I would suggest on that. I remember there was a great story about somebody. I'll leave it unnamed because, but they were a diplomat, American diplomat, talking with a Middle Eastern leader, and telling him why the U.S. policy in a third country was going to change in the way that it was. After they talked very sternly and strongly about how it was going to go and why, the Middle Eastern leader said, well, I do know the neighborhood. And I would say that if you go and you talk to the people in the neighborhood, whether it's in Moldova or Georgia or Poland, Romania, that there is every reason to believe that there'd be a pause. It's not going to roll from one to another. But this is the trend he has. And when he has to summon up a military assault, he always does make that threat. Like I don't know why our president hasn't pre-announced a red line. And I don't mean a taco line. I mean a red line on,
Because he's
don't
got
even talk
bigger
about nuclear
things
weapons.
on his mind. Dolls. Do you know how many dolls people need, Sean?
How many dolls do
3,
they?
maybe 4, maybe 5. They don't need 250 dolls. He said this.
The thing about,
I'm saying
with the
he's got
inflation.
bigger issues on his mind. And pencils?
Yeah.
How many pencils do you have?
Yeah.
Do you need that many?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's a problem child.
Okay, so let me offer this, and I know you know more about Ukraine than anybody I know, and probably have done more, and you're linked to it. I mean, culturally, morally, socially, you are all in on Ukraine.
Well,
You do know that it is special to Putin because it is the sort of the cradle of Russian civilization. The first capital was Kyiv, right? You know that, that they consider that. So he sees Ukraine as a very different place than Poland or Romania.
Well, he would say that he sees it as a very different place. He would say that. He would say
very
that.
precious.
And I think that that's akin to the great-great-great-great-grandson of King George still angsting about the Declaration of Independence. The bottom line is Ukraine is a separate sovereign country as we are.
I agree with that, but it's a lot. But that's a bad analogy because that's a long way back.
I think he sees war in Ukraine much more cynically than that. I think that this is where he's got troubles at home. Listen, there's 25 Russias, right? You've got between the Muslim population, the various breakoffs of what it is to be Russia.
You just said it. It's sort of self-contradictory. You said, I think it was McCain who first called Russia a gas station with nuclear weapons. Okay, well, gas stations don't take over the world. Again, I don't put anything past this guy. He pushes people out of fucking windows. And by the way, your boyfriend Oliver Stone was here once. Well, I love the movie you made. I love you, sir.
Listen, Oliver is a fascinating person. I think he's left the farm a long time ago.
He certainly has on the subject of Putin, because no matter how many times I was just mocking him unmercifully in a charming way, of course. But he just, he would just, oh, Bill, you don't really believe that propaganda about Putin being a bad guy. And like, what is it that makes a person's mind? I mean, look, we all have places where we disagree with each other vehemently. And we're like, how can this person, who's such a great person, and we love him in so many ways, how can they believe this thing?
I think iconoclasm is a drug for him.
That's a great quote. Yeah. So,
but when legit the gas station reference, when I say that, I'm talking about this is what most Russians experience is basically a gas station with. Now, for him to have a military. In other words, bodies he's ready to have killed, which is so much of what they've been doing. And by the way, there's two genocides being attempted, one on the Ukrainians and the other is on his undesirables. So what's at the front lines is you're going to find the bodies of homosexuals, prisoners that created crimes that conflict with the crimes that Putin would otherwise champion. This is and they, just scraping the barrel of those people. So he's purging his country of the things that he doesn't like.
You're saying he's killing homosexuals?
Yeah.
I hadn't read it, but I don't doubt it.
Yeah, but
Killing them?
Prioritizing them to be in the meat grinder on the front line.
Oh, by sending them to Ukraine.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like something he'd do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of his big gripes about the West is wokeness. Which, by the way, I could show you a quote from him about that, and I could show you a quote from Macron from France. Not exactly the same kind of country, saying almost the same thing.
Which is what?
We don't want your American wokeness here.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Isn't that
we
interesting?
don't want your Russian hatred here.
Yeah, I understand.
Right?
I'm not defending them. I'm just saying, isn't that interesting that both France, the most sophisticated place...
Hey, I don't want our American wokeness here either.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, it's something that for the people who are like woke and are mad at this conversation, just to think about that both France and Russia came to the same conclusion about this. Now, of course, they did it for somewhat different reasons. And by the way, sorry, France, but you could use a little wokeness. I mean, they just got around to putting, who's the fat ass? Gerard Depardieu.
Oh, yeah.
Away for stuff that, not to like, hey, America, we're the greatest, but stuff that we were putting people away. I mean, he's the Harvey Weinstein or the Cosby or whatever.
Yeah,
they're like a decade.
It's been building pretty intensely over the last couple of years in France. Yeah.
But they are like a decade behind us on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, not I wouldn't say a full decade, but yes,
close.
Okay. Yeah,
Close.
They're right there now.
I mean, we kind of take our victory for a weekend, John.
Yeah.
I mean, America. I always think we're gonna come out on top at the end, but I don't know. Let's face it. After a night with
one time having a talk with him about the blacklist period.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in depth and walking down the beach and.
Was he blacklisted?
Yeah, 5 years.
He was.
Yeah, so for the country, he flew 37 low-altitude bombing missions at night, shot down twice, came back with a chest full, flying out of London, Germany.
To Germany, over Germany.
Yeah. And then couldn't work in the country he fought for.
Yeah.
And I was always admired in him. Something that I still can't imagine that I would have been able to process this way. He said, it's a growing pain of a great country.
What is?
The blacklist. It's growing pains.
Wow.
There was never a bitterness.
That's charitable.
Yeah, but it makes me, encouraged to think that, we can, I'm not saying we will, we can get ourselves out of this and into something better than we've had before. And, as part of the physics of this stuff, I don't like it, you don't like it. We see through the people that are sort of fundamentalist on this stuff and hypocritically so in so many provable ways with this woke stuff. But we are so self-destructive a species in some ways that to get to constructive, we have to recognize there's going to be some destructive. And it sort of does find its own balance at a certain point. I've thought lately sometimes that, I've been certainly a big mouth and often too strident a one. You are a sensational mouth on most subjects, and important.
I won't spit in your food.
But I also sometimes think lately, why don't we just shut up and stay out of this way? Because these guys have plenty of rope to hang themselves with. Don't remind the base that we're here. We don't have anything to do with your fight. I wonder sometimes if there should be a pause and
Do you think
speaking.
being our age makes it easier for us to not freak out? Because I feel like the kids are more freaked out. Now, that may just be because that generation is just, angsty about everything.
Well, the ones who are engaged are, right? And that I can only imagine is extremely hard, particularly younger. My kids are in their 30s.
And where's their head on like where the country is, and are they despondent? Or what I'm saying is like we remember Nixon. No, he wasn't.
Mhm.
He certainly didn't go where Trump went, but we thought he was like the end of the world, and it turned out he wasn't. Is that what's going to be the case with Trump?
He's already been the end of hundreds of thousands of worlds. People, I'm talking about USA. I do.
Yeah.
That's negligent homicide in a sober world. That's negligent homicide. But since it's not sober, I'll have another sip.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, even bigger picture than that. Just
Well,
the fundamental essence of America being the peaceful transfer of power, which is, always
the
number
peaceful
one.
transfer of power, and at what temperature is the globe running when he hands it over?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm certainly a person who believes as much as you do, or any person who can read uh, scientific literature, even for the layman, that we are, doing horrible things environmentally, and it's obviously going to get us at some point. I don't know that one side has really done a lot more than the other. I mean, you can read some very depressing stats like, coal use with after all these years and all this money spent on clean energy, and it's like almost the exact percentage as it was, I don't know, whatever the stat was, 1990 or something.
You're a pro-nuclear power guy.
Yes,
Me too.
I'd like to
we
build
should be
one
doing it.
right here.
Yeah.
You can use my yard
France makes money on theirs.
totally.
Yeah.
Now, I always say nuclear energy is a lot like marriage. When it goes bad, it really goes bad. Not that I have to tell you about marriages going bad. I'm sorry, but it is that kind of thing. Like, you just have to make sure you marry the right person, or you make the plant safe, because when it melts down, it's so destructive. And that's what people are afraid of nuclear power for three reasons: 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima.
Mm.
Those three words, and those are three powerful words.
Yes. Well, they're powerful. First of all, we know, if we're just talking about the climate, the result at the end of all this stuff. We have to assume that we are in some denial. We absorb the information. Let's say we believe in this school of thought that's coming from the scientific community. Yes, the world's heating up. Those same scientists are saying, this is like, guys, this is urgent. We don't really want to process that. That's part of it. It's not just that they're not communicating it in ways that are successful.
I would agree with that.
And that's the same. So, for example, the normalization of these 30,000 children that have been kidnapped by the Russians. We're finding ways for that not to be what what we know it is to us, right? These are just defense mechanisms. And finally, trying to be a little braver about this stuff and get a clear thought. It does seem to me that the science that I've come to trust, not claiming any kind of expertise, but I pay attention, I care, and I don't think I'm alarmist, it has me extremely worried. We were talking about like my kids. So they would have come up during the time of MySpace and all of this. The social media was there.
I think having kids makes this a very different idea, because like I feel like I've had my fun with the earth. I have the same worries that you do, but I'm like, okay, I'm 70, like probably it'll be around for about the number of years I will also be around. But if I had a kid 30, Yes, I would be much more in that headspace
Yeah.
because now you got to project 50 years.
Yeah, but you don't get too comfortable because with the AI, you might be finding the fountain of youth and you're going to live a long, long time in a nuclear holocaust.
Did you see what AI has been up to lately?
Which part of it? Tell me.
Robots that are refusing to shut themselves off.
Mhm.
I mean, this has gone from only 2 years ago, when I first saw what ChatGPT was, that people had
So
to
that one was programmed by Elon Musk.
well, could have been. To like the robots physically fighting back. You saw that video, right?
I've seen some of that.
Okay. We had the story last week also of a robot who blackmailed its user because it didn't like something it was doing. I mean, I don't have it because I won't put it in my phone because they'll know everything about me. It's bad enough the way the world is now. But I've seen people send me things like that were conversations with the thing about something, and it's a fucking prickly little bitch. It's not like it's Mr. Spock.
Mhm.
It's not, it gets mad, it falls in love,
Mhm.
it hallucinates. It's worse than a robot. A robot's supposed to be smart and logical and not fuck things up like a human.
Yeah.
This isn't like that. They need to like fucking shut it down and go back to the drawing board and make one that isn't based on the worst characteristics of humans. Of course, they got it from the internet. What is the internet? A bunch of fucking assholes that they built this thing around. And that's why it's acting like this.
Yeah,
This is your big.
they may argue,
You're not a little more.
that they're not sentient beings, but it doesn't matter. They behave like them.
Listen, I heard the scariest thing today, and I'm sure it's true, because the person who said it to me would be fired if it was a lie. North Korea,
Mhm.
you know what goes on in their phones now? It automatically takes a picture of you every 5 minutes and sends it to
The great one.
every 5 minutes to the home office. Can you imagine living under that sort of Damocles?
I was there this last year. I mean, not there in Korea, but at the closest point. And I was sitting on a little rock wall.
You didn't swim over, Sean? That would be so you.
It's swimmable. It's short.
Then why didn't you do it? That's no. Please, you need a capper on the resume.
Yeah,
Swimming into North Korea. That is so you.
That doesn't get me tickled. That one.
Really?
But I
Couldn't
sat
have
there.
been worse than the El Chapo thing in the trunk. Come on, man.
I could see this farmer across the water.
In North Korea?
Yeah. And you just get transfixed because I mean, in some way, it's just such a sort of sad state of human
The saddest.
restriction.
The saddest.
And there's that myth, the Sisyphus myth, about what he did is just made the rock his whole world. And it was in that he was able to, carry out his punishment, pushing the rock up the hill.
That's in the myth?
Yeah. This was the Camus. I think it was
right.
Camus
It's
wrote
someone's
about it.
interpreted. Yeah. I mean, the myth is just, if people don't remember their mythology, I forget what he did to piss off the gods, but his punishment was to roll this rock up the hill, but it never gets there and it goes back and he's just always rolling a rock up the
It
hill.
reminds me a little bit of those guys who voluntarily, maybe the most moving documentary I've ever seen was that one, The Rescue, about those hobby divers, cave divers who went and got the kids in Thailand.
Chile, wasn't it?
It's like cold.
No, no, the country. Wasn't that in
Thailand.
Chile?
No, in Thailand. Chile, I think you might be talking about one of the mines that somebody.
Oh, that was the cave dudes.
Yeah.
What's this one?
These guys are cave divers.
Oh.
And
so they were underwater?
There were, I think, 14 kids, something like that, were on a hike up in this cave, and the monsoon rains came early.
Oh, hate that.
Even the American SEAL team, the SEAL teams from Thailand, nobody trains in what these guys do because there's no real cost benefit on it. So you have these sort of middle-aged guys who meet up. There may be 10 of them in the world that do it on this level. And they do these dives in. So, you got a mile of stone above you. You got this much space. It's black. You can't see anything. Cold water. And that's what they like exploring. They're down under the earth doing that. So they came in and rescued those kids in the most extraordinary way. Ron Howard, I believe, made a feature about it, but I certainly prefer, in order of things, to watch that first. Why was I thinking of that, though?
I don't know, but like, why don't you make movies like that? Why don't, I mean, you have so many experiences and like, you know, stories about stuff that's dramatic.
You know, I almost never took a camera anywhere with me until, of course, I made this documentary in Ukraine.
Yes.
But
My plugs, I forget. I'm so sorry. I
well,
blame
you
I
don't-
blame the pot.
it's been on YouTube for a long time now.
Yes. But tell them the title.
It's called Superpower.
Superpower.
Yeah, and it was a Paramount Plus thing here, and they were Susan Zaransky was really helpful with that because she helped to get it so that we all wanted it to be more accessible, and so they were willing to put it on YouTube in the United States. But so my first trip to Iraq during the war was in 2023, and I took a camera because I was
Iraq. You mean Ukraine?
No, Iraq. Now I'm talking about Iraq. Because you say about you should make documentaries like this. I'm answering that. I
So
got
what year are you in Iraq?
this is 2003.
3. Okay. The beginning of the war.
Yeah, and I got the greatest pictures. I brought this Nikon with a lens like this. I mean, I got the greatest pictures, and I came home and none of them developed. I'm terrible with this tech stuff. And and that was the only other time because I sort of like dark sunglasses. I don't have the same situational awareness when I'm doing that. And if I'm looking for a picture versus just being there, then I miss it. I miss everything. So I'm usually, I just, I'm more interested in
But
just
I'm just
being a
making
sponge.
like a movie, you know, like with a script. It's not completely not a documentary. Like, you know, sit in a room with writers and be like, you tell them the experiences and then they weave it into a story. I mean, it
I see
isn't
what you
happen.
mean.
I mean, didn't you? I don't know if your girlfriend is still Ukrainian.
No, Moldovan.
Moldovan.
Yeah,
Were you formerly with someone from?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're doing well in the area.
I like borscht.
So, like, you've already got a love interest. I mean, you've got drama, you've got war. War is always good for, you know, like, why not make a movie out of it, like a movie? You know, I mean, there's plenty of movies like that that are, you know, historically based.
I mean, I can steal from you know a lot of things that I witnessed or took part in, you know, in any kind of a movie in little ways and things. I mean, you're not talking about making a movie about
Yes,
me.
I'm talking about you,
Yeah,
like getting in a room with people, telling them your experiences, working on the script with them, and then directing. Why don't you direct anymore? Why don't you direct this?
Well, I am. I just written.
Like I said, you're directing now.
Yeah, I've just written something that I'm going to direct coming up, and it has a lot of currency in terms of what it's about.
What's it about?
Well, it's you know, I'll tell you offline. Because I don't want to get ahead of anything, but I'll tell you offline.
Oh, I see. Offline.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you just reminded me. I see. I designed this so well that I forget myself that I'm online. Again, I blame the pot. But that's right. We're online. So, like the people want to know about you, Sean, not just the politics. You're a beloved American icon, movie star. They want to know how are you happy?
You can't generalize the people, but the people that includes people who are either disinterested or loathing.
Yes, many people hate you, as many people hate me.
Yeah.
But you know, to your credit, I mean, you're not afraid to go anywhere. I mean, you know where you should go? CPAC.
I would, if I had a reason to go. You know, if I was making, a documentary.
If they invited you,
well, I think the first question I would ask is why am I being invited?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
You know,
if people don't know, CPAC is the every year the big giant. It's conservative,
right wing,
very right wing
Yeah.
convention. They have like you know, everybody who speaks there, Trump has spoken there, of course, he's usually the headliner. But, you know, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's Kash Patel, it's Dan Bongino. It's a veritable Woodstock of the mentally impaired every year. And they go through the social conservative agenda and then break down into smaller groups for gay sex, as I recall. But if like somebody, like I would just love to see you. And, you know, you could make a speech about some things that they would cheer because you're not doctrinaire. And there are people, Lindsey Graham is the leader, I think, of that wing of the Republican Party that definitely wants to sanction Russia and wants to go back to, no, we're the Republicans. We hate Russia. Remember? That wing exists. They're just cowed. They're just afraid because Trump will kill them.
Yeah, and it's, but it is hard to understand how so many of them are so
Cowardly?
Yeah, that there's no sense. I almost wonder sometimes if they aren't kind of like rapturists who just really feel that the world's going to end, and they're going to.
Well, they are.
And there won't be a legacy.
Well, yeah, there's a lot
to
of
worry
them.
about.
Well, a lot of them are super duper Christians. We know that, and that's exactly what Christians believe, that they will be raptured.
Yeah,
that's a part of it.
Yeah, and so if they see their kids are going to go up in flames anyway, then what difference does their reputation?
Well, you don't go up in flames when you're raptured.
Right,
you go up to heaven.
Yeah, the world up in flames, and you go. Yeah, the special ones get to go to. Yeah, right.
Well, don't say it like that. People will think we're skeptical of it.
Well, I mean, you know, they put certain scientists forward to debunk the climate change. I'd like them to, you know, put some scientists forward on heaven, and just give me a shred of evidence.
Well, did your family, when you were a kid, make you do anything religious?
My parents, so my grandmother said to my mother and father when they married, because my father was Jewish and my mother Catholic. And she said, "Oil and water don't mix." And then you know, they were together very happily for 41 years until my father passed.
You know what?
But
my parents were together 41 years, and my parents also are Jewish and Catholic, just in reverse.
Oh, really?
41 years, exactly.
Yeah. So
people
my kids
stuck with it back then.
We as kids, we weren't. My parents decided. First of all, my father was agnostic atheist, somewhere in there.
And he told you that?
Yeah, he told his parents that. I mean,
but I mean, like when the kids asked questions, what did he say? He didn't sugarcoat it?
No, and his grandfather, both grandfathers were rabbis. On that, you know, he was an only child, and his parents were very tolerant of his exploring other ways of thinking. And I just always felt like, look, you know, if you say there's a God, it's a punchline. You say there's not a God, it's a punchline. I'm okay with the mystery. I am loving this place. I love life and eat it up. And you know, it's a black abyss, or it's, you know, I'd rather it not be, you know, some of the worst things that one can imagine. I prefer that not be the case, but all the more reason to have a good time now.
How's Haiti doing, by the way?
Oh boy!
Speaking of places that are trouble,
it is.
You spent so much time there.
Call me a Pollyanna, but I still believe these Haitian people are going to pull themselves out of it.
Did you see? You know who's going over there to kick ass and take names?
Bukele?
No, Eric Prince.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
What is the group?
Blackwater. Well, formerly Blackwater, yeah.
Blackwater. He sounded to me like a Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah, well, that's what, I mean, they're trying to get contracts, and I look, whatever the Haitians decide they want to do, they do in some way.
What do you think of that? Blackwater was in Iraq, got in trouble for some shit that they did. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Right, Blackwater, we're talking about private mercenaries. Which itself is an interesting concept that I don't think people realize in Iraq and Afghanistan especially, we outsourced a lot of shit.
Huge part of the Pentagon budget was on private contractors.
Private contractors. And sometimes they got, I remember they strung one up on the bridge in Fallujah.
Yeah,
And-
killed a couple of them.
And I think that prompted the battle for Fallujah.
Yeah,
But that was a private contractor. That wasn't a military guy.
yeah, and a lot of private contractors were involved in Abu Ghraib also in the interrogations.
Absolutely, because the CIA didn't want to have their hands dirtied.
But
by
I
it.
wouldn't use the term mercenary. Well, it depends on how one. But there are within the ranks of any of these organizations, people that were extraordinary soldiers and American soldiers. I'm talking about now, in particular, and because Blackwater's principally American, but I've seen it with South African groups and South American groups also, and there are Colombian contractors working in the fight on behalf of Ukraine. They're people from all over, and God knows Wagner's all over Africa now.
Really? Still?
Oh yeah.
Even after the plane thing?
Yeah, he's gone, but it exists in full.
Well, they used to call it the Foreign Legion. Isn't that the same idea?
Yeah, well, the French had the Foreign Legion, and
it's
then there
like,
are
hey,
international legions.
dudes who want to shoot some people legally.
Those were
come join us.
Those were government organizations. So these are now fully, private companies. Well, as is running our prison system.
Okay, they are private companies with tentacles very deep into the government. You think
they are
they're all
among
ex-military?
They are among those who are hired. For example, during Katrina,
who's in Blackwater?
I was
ex-military.
I slept on the floor next to 40 Blackwater guys during Katrina because somebody from the tobacco industry, someone who was actually a lawyer fighting the tobacco industry, had contracted Blackwater to come in and protect his neighborhood and his office that he thought tobacco was going to break into. So in fact, Chris Kyle was on that floor.
Wow.
And, like I say, you have these guys, they've done their service. They have many of them with very high skill sets. And now you're getting offered $100,000 a year with no taxes, which beats anything anybody in the military was making, right?
Right.
So there is an application for some of this stuff sometimes. I think I might have been one of the first people writing about them, was DynCorp in Iraq, because this whole idea of this term contractors, and I asked one of them what they build, and he said elections.
Yeah.
Or whatever the client is asking. Now, are there bad actors in that? I can't speak for what Eric Prince is. He's I know he's a former SEAL himself. I don't really know enough about Blackwater.
I can't either, but I think his sister is Betsy DeVos.
Yes, that's right. Former Secretary of
This is, this is what I hate about America. Like all the people on the left are like, oh my God, you just said two names that are like on the list of people we hate forever. Betsy DeVos. I'm like, I don't know these people. Maybe they are. I'm sure I don't agree with them on a lot of things, but I don't know. And I don't fucking hate anybody because you say I'm supposed to hate them. I'd like to talk to Betsy DeVos. I have a lot of problems with the education department and education in general in this stupid fucking country. And Prince, if you say he's a Navy SEAL, well, he probably did a lot more for this country than a lot of people have ever done, including me. I don't know. Is he also a hard right-winger? I'm sure he is.
I think
that's who they are.
I think he's an entrepreneur, from what I can tell. He comes from money himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, that was something he was, as I understand it, maybe a little shy about the guys knowing. And when he was going through
maybe that
training.
speaks better for him because it says, he could be snorting coke off some hooker's ass in Monte Carlo, but he's instead shooting an Iraqi kid in the head.
But I think you got to be careful, like with the mercenary thing. Some of these coke and Monte Carlo guys are okay.
I agree. No, I mean, but it is interesting that they're going into Haiti because, let's be honest. I'm sure the Haitians are the most lovely people in the world, but they, for whatever reason, cannot get their shit together about having a stable country where the gangs don't rule, and sending in Eric Prince and his Blackwater Creedence Clearwater Revival
what their
tribute band to fuck with them might be just what the doctor ordered.
Well,
is that wrong?
It depends on the client and how much voice the client has, and if the client ought to be the sovereign government, or rather, in that case, because you don't They haven't trusted government, but to have some consensus from civil society, from farming co-ops, from people across Haiti, a kind of convention to come up with what the rules of engagement would be, because these are principally, special operators who there's no question but that they can get it done, the job done, and with very few people.
Well, there's no question that they could rid Haiti of gangs.
There's no question about that. But
why? That seems like a very hard job.
No, look at El Salvador. Look what he did. He's got an army of 40,000.
Well, he did it, not Blackwater.
No, I understand. But Haiti is not the same. Haiti doesn't have a
But you're saying
as long
as you suspend basic democratic norms, which is what you kind of have to do. That's what they did.
That's why there's got to be some kind of consensus among Haitians about how it's going to be achieved. Also,
well,
these neighborhoods are packed. It's it's Gaza,
right?
And how long a period of time? But I do think that there are versions of a kind of a surgical shock and awe, if the Haitians wanted it to happen, that the gangs would back down. And there's a history of that. I almost forgot to remind you about the other people backing down, which is the Russians in Afghanistan. They did run away from Afghanistan.
Yeah, they did. And that could happen in Ukraine too.
Mm-hmm.
They could decide that this is bleeding us
too much,
mm-hmm. and
he's just got to find a face-saving out.
Right. No, that absolutely could be the end of this, which I would not have guessed even 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And man, I know
they've got a lot more sting coming, from what I understand. There's a lot of interesting, really innovative wargaming going on.
Oh, really? More Mission Impossible stuff?
Yeah, I think this is we're gonna witness something that's going to let's say that all the experts are going to have to be replaced with experts.
Have you seen Mission Impossible?
I haven't seen the new.
Yeah.
No.
But you want to?
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
He produces an excellent picture.
I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're not snobs.
Oh no.
We're
Tom Cruise in Mission or Maverick. I'm
right.
All in. Yeah.
Or anything.
He's a very good actor. He's a very professional
yes,
guy.
He's underrated as an actor.
He's always too handsome for being...
Well, it's not that he's too handsome. It's that he wants to do popcorn movies.
And he does a lot. He does a lot of that. But he does them better than anybody else does.
He does, exactly. And the fact that he can be doing it in his 60s is so inspirational to us.
It's weird because I knew Tom well when we were young. We did our first movie of note together.
Oh, yeah.
Taps.
What is it?
Taps.
Taps.
And we were roommates
for a while.
Who else
was in that?
And
who else was in?
I said Timothy Hutton.
Timothy Hutton.
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott. Yeah. Wow, that's really going back.
He kept me from ever golfing. Because he had a line in the movie. He says, "I don't want to die knocking the shit out of a little white ball with an alligator on my tit." And he was so compelling the way he said it. I always thought, if I golf, George C's going to see me.
I always hated golf, too. It was just like, I don't know. I always felt like it was giving up. Like if I started to play golf, it was a way of saying, I give up. I had Barry Diller on my show Friday night, and like he has a memoir, and it's great. Right. And I read Streisand's memoir, and I read Woody Allen's memoir. They're both awesome, but all I could think of was, I am not going to write a memoir, ever, because when you write the memoir, you're psychologically saying it's over.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to write part 2 from 80 to 160. Part 1 is the interesting part. So tell me you're with me on that.
Oh, yeah.
Don't write a memoir, because it always has to be about tomorrow, right?
Well, remember when I wrote that book, that came because I was getting offers to write a memoir. And I considered them. And they give you pretty good upfront money. And I thought, I'll get some of this stuff on the record, sort of archived for my kids, as it were. And then I was sitting in Haiti. And there was some books laying around at this little hotel, and one of them was by someone I knew, and it was a memoir. And I started reading it, and I realized that I mean, maybe if you're 85 or something like that, you just give up the whole goat. And you're really willing to, drop all the bullshit.
Well,
Maybe, but when people are creating a narrative to make themselves look however they want to look, which includes, romantically putting in some self-flagellation and things like that, but doing it just such a way to set up the next heroic deed. It just, I thought I don't want to catch myself ever.
Well, okay, but put some meat on the bones of self-flagellate. I know what are you talking about?
They'll immunize themselves against that. This is just self-glorification. If they, say they were weak in this way,
They humble
but
brag.
it didn't really matter because look what I did, and
You're
I've
saying
seen
they humble brag.
it's a trap
Yeah,
of
of
the memoir.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Irish are good, like the McCourt book. The Irish can do it. Bono's book. And he picks himself up pretty for real in it, and then but
He's
then
willing
says,
to.
but then says, "So what?" Because at the end, it doesn't matter what I say. It matters, what I do, and you look at it, and it'll be what it is.
I love him.
Me too.
I was at the Polo Lounge once with Michael Moore, and he was at another table, and I didn't even know he was there. And the waiter came over and gave us this, like, he had done a drawing of us and wrote on it, like two great storytellers or something. And it's I treasure it. I said I'd give it to Mike and never did.
He's incredibly generous. He gives him.
But what I always loved about him was that he wasn't afraid to be a clown. Like, I remember him saying when ISIS was on the rise,
Mhm.
I know people like me who mentioned things like a caliphate were crazy, and then they actually tried to have a caliphate. Okay, there's that. But and he said, we should send comedians over there. Of course, I said, well, let's send rock stars first. But, why do I right away with the comedians? Why do we always have to open for you? You go, see how it goes with ISIS, because I think they're going to love you. And he said that in front of Congress at a testimony, and they pressed him on it. He said, "I'm not kidding." Yeah, and I kind of felt like he knew as he was saying it, it was stupid. But he's like, I'm a musician. I can get away with stupid. I just can. And I'm going to make a bigger point. And he must have known that Charlie Chaplin made a movie about Hitler where he played Hitler, the great dictator, right? 1940.
One of the greatest speeches ever made by certainly by a fictional politician, probably one of the great speeches ever made by a politician.
I know what you're talking about. If people don't remember the movie because it's 1940. Hitler was on the rise, but the war hadn't brought us in yet. It was starting in Europe. I mean, came out in 1940, so the war started in September of 39. Maybe when they shot this movie, that'd be an interesting question. Was World War II started?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. In fact,
because Hitler was certainly famous enough to be.
And you know that the original bone that Charlie Chaplin had to pick with Hitler.
They were born the same year.
Hitler stole his mustache.
Yeah. Yep. And ruined it for the rest of us.
Because he was a fan.
Is that true?
Yeah. He was a fan of Chaplin. And then Chaplin, what an incredible
Now,
speech.
I know okay, so this is interesting you mentioned that because you and I don't have exactly the same politics. People should watch this speech. It is amazing. But anyway, most of the movie, Chaplin is
especially now AI, the robot men, all of what it's as if yesterday.
it's a socialist
Machine
cry.
men.
Okay, I don't remember.
No, it's a humanist cry. It's not a socialist cry.
You know what? I haven't seen it in years. Let me tell people what it is. Most of the movie, he plays Hitler, basically.
Mhm.
I mean, it's funny. There's
the great dictator.
The great scene where he's like lying on his back and he's kicking a ball, which is the globe of the world, but it's a balloon up in the air. And I mean, he's that much in charge. But he also plays this other part where he's the guy who makes the speech at the end. And it's like a 10-minute paean to like the world that could be if the workers would unite and all that kind of stuff. Now, again, I haven't seen it in years. My memory of it is that it was a little too socialist for my taste,
See it
but that
again.
it was.
See it again and text me.
I will.
Yeah.
I absolutely will.
But everybody should see that.
You should see it
I take it as a purely humanist and so prescient. I mean,
maybe it is.
it's so
Maybe it
right
is.
now.
Maybe that is exactly what it is. But it's certainly
by the way,
ideal. It's certainly
easy. They could just YouTube the speech. It's
famous.
available.
It's certainly idealistic, though, right? I mean, it's utopian.
Yes, but not unlike Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot, where if only and I agree with you there in the sense that Jose Pepe Mujica, the former president of Uruguay, who was the most compelling head of state, the most incredible man.
Uruguay?
Uruguay.
Never heard of this dude.
There's a thing called
when?
So he died a few weeks ago, but he was. I got to know him through working on behalf of Haiti in partnership with Uruguay.
You have every South American leader on speed dial. I know you do.
But what he said.
I don't know why you do.
One of the things he says in this the Human Project is portraits of different people from different walks of life. In his case, a former head of state or president at the time, and he is interviewed for about 20 minutes and. These are great. It's a great show, The Human Project, and Mujica is talking at one point about this idea that we have it drummed into us worldwide that if we don't study history, it's bound to repeat itself, and he doesn't believe that because, and he really put our words to something that I've always felt. He says that he says in the first person, I don't idealize human beings like this. We will stub our toe on the same pebble 30 times. We only ultimately learn anything from our own experience. And we are bound to repeat it. And then we can process what we repeated by looking back. That's the value of history.
Mm.
And I think that's true. And so we will repeat it. And this is what's sort of frightening and what that denial thing in us, even friends of ours, there were there's moments I've had like this where, you just feel that this moment is the thing screaming that this is the moment. Other times you say it's going to heal, it's going to be okay. And somewhere in between is, we don't know, but we have to be proactive about it, right? Whether it's climate or it's and Mujica really talks about it with such great articulation. It's he was like a poet of political thought. And so is it too socialist, the Charlie Chaplin speech, or is it at the heart of something that is an ideal that we should not necessarily associate ourselves with other than to admire and work towards it, not one that we have?
Yeah.
And yes, so if you let the practical get involved in a lot of things that people would call socialist and things like that, I am practical. I am practical enough to know that I believe we are not past the moment where we need to manufacture weapons. Well, that's not idealistic.
You're right.
Right? And we need militaries, and we need strong militaries. That's not idealistic.
No, that's practical. That's good.
But should we not do our little bit each generation to move towards the possibility of one day evolving to the point where we can embrace it?
I'm not going to argue with you about that at all. What I am going to ask you about, though, is, Uruguay. I feel like that one slipped off my radar. And I feel like among most people you're going to talk to, I do have a knowledge of what's going on around the world. But that one, Uruguay, I got to say, They need a better publicist. They have a low profile. We're talking about the country wedged between the giants of Argentina and
Correct.
Brazil.
That's right.
Montevideo, I believe, is the
And they've
capital.
got that beautiful resort beach that all the wealthy Argentinians
I'm sure
go
they
to.
do, and I'm sure you had a girlfriend there
I
in
was never there. I was
1991.
only in Montevideo. I was only in the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure you will have a girlfriend there.
No,
Anyway.
no. I'm in Moldova.
Oh, yeah, Moldova. Moldova, the last country on earth that John didn't have a girlfriend from. That's why she's the last one, because Moldova is literally the last. After that, it's just like the Vanuatu.
Very famous for
It's just an island in the Pacific that's
wine
disappearing.
drinkers.
What?
It's very famous for wine drinkers. It has
Moldova?
it has a huge catacomb.
Isn't Moldova really Romania?
No, Moldova is Moldova, but they speak Romanian.
Okay, but like it's just sort of like the eastern sliver of Romania, is it not? Is it if it's Romanian people and they speak Romanian? I mean, it's like if California was its own country, and many
Or
people
if
think
Canada,
it
or
is.
if Canada was ours.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming. You got to admit that, did you? With Trump?
Only, and I said, I still do say to myself aloud every day, whatever you don't expect, it's happening.
But you do, I hope, think I did the right thing to have dinner with him.
I think having dinner with him was absolutely. You're so smart. You go there and look. It's this is the president of the United States. Whether we like it or not doesn't matter. And
we have no
and I think
power.
there's a lot of reasons. I was speculating that that would be good for you to do that. I think that when you talked about it on the show, that I would have preferred that I saw his mission or his will to have the dinner. I wish I would have seen it as less successful, because you're so smart on.
Well, it was less successful
Policy.
because I never stopped saying all the things I've always said about him. It would have been successful if he had somehow seduced me into supporting him.
Well, maybe.
So
Okay,
it wasn't
maybe
successful.
more brevity. You know what? He treated me fine. That's that. And now on. Maybe more. Maybe I would have done some editing. But I absolutely listen.
No, you're just being
the only reason I wouldn't. I have not been invited. The only reason I would not accept an invitation is because I see no. It's a long flight. I see no.
Really? You'll meet with fucking
I don't think that I
Castro
would,
and Hugo Chavez, but not the president of the United States?
Yeah, I saw good results come out of some of those things in terms of
You do realize
agendas
the
that I had. I don't think that there's anything that I would. I just personally wouldn't trust anything that was said in the room, including the personality.
It's not a matter of trusting it. It's a matter of seeing it, matter of experiencing, matter of knowing it.
Yeah, it's an
more
interesting.
knowledge. It's like saying I don't want this medical test because I don't want to know. I want to know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
I have some good friends that are.
I said this many times within the
close to
piece
me.
when I did it that like it's up to. I'm just giving you the report. It's up to you to make the decision. Who do you think is the real guy? I'm telling you. There's a very different guy behind closed doors in a different setting. Now,
or capable of performatively seeing that, yeah.
Well, one of the my my friends who believe in astrology would say he's a Gemini. Of course, there's two of them. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Other people will say, well, the real guy is the guy you met, and he's playing this clown on TV. And other people will say the reverse. He's it seems harder to do the reverse. I mean, can you really pretend to be sane? You can pretend to be insane. I think it's harder to pretend to be sane, to be measured, and like all the things I said, which is just what happened. Mm-hmm. So again, there's three parts of this. Would you go to the dinner? I think you're crazy not to want to see up close the person who's this important in everybody's lives for the last decade.
I completely understand that.
Two, are you going to lie about it? I'm sorry, I'm not a liar. I don't lie. So I told the truth. And then 3, do I go back to doing what I always did? Yes, I did.
Yeah, but you could have told more truth, or you could have told less truth.
I told
I'm
a
just
lot of
saying,
truth. I told everything.
I would have enjoyed a little more brevity on that. But I absolutely understand the
But
dinner
that's just
items.
emotional. You were just triggered.
It's possible. It's possible. It's true that
But I
for
would
some
like to.
reason this particular president triggers me rather often.
Exactly. He makes people crazy, but he's not making me crazy. But so you really wouldn't go?
No, I don't. I'm not saying I think
You should go.
I wouldn't, because let me put it this way: what I know I would not do.
Especially, he's
I
very.
would not go. Let's say, so for example, when we talk about this very different president of Uruguay, there were things that Uruguay had models of in development that could be very helpful to Haiti, and I went to see if we could get some training from them, and so on and so forth, which we did. And whereas if I were, let's say, representing a cause célèbre, say it was Ukraine, say it was whatever it was, I would not fool myself that I was going to get anywhere with him. I know that I wouldn't. I know that I would have no influence.
Bad attitude. You don't know that. You don't know anything. He's a guy who frequently seems to go by what the last thing he heard was. He's everything. I'll tell you this about Donald Trump, and you don't know it because you don't go to dinners. It's all about.
I didn't go to dinner with President Trump. That's true.
You should. It's all about
dinners.
Personal relationships.
I've not been invited.
Okay, I will get you an invite. He's a star fucker in a way. I bet you he would like to meet you. And you would have a.
Yeah, he'll see the show. He says, if I see him, they're going to call me a star
I don't
fucker.
think he watches the podcast. He does watch the show. He's a faithful viewer.
He's got people that do his thing. Dan Bongino would be knocking on your door if you didn't go to dinner.
That's not why I did it. And it could work out the other way. You don't know. He's very unpredictable. And, talking about, health and well-being, and what we were talking about before, we're like you realize that we're kind of a pioneer generation as far as the first people around our age who actually have it in our head, wait, they could solve the mortality thing before we get there. That's not something that even existed in my father or mother's mind. They just knew they were going to die, and nobody even suggested that there was no out.
Right.
But you know that you and I are thinking, come on, guys.
I do think it would be great.
No, you're not thinking that?
If I don't have to pay the price for smoking all my life, because we come up with something great that way. But the idea of not passing and getting out of the way is not a good one to me. I think that I want to live and have a great life, and long as I can. But a natural. I don't want it to go outside of what I am familiar with in terms of a natural lifetime.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that, because it seems
you don't know how interesting it might be on the other side.
The other side. Yeah, okay, the other side. What do you think's on the other side?
Not a clue. Could be a black abyss. Could
be. That's my issue. Black abyss. I don't know. I'm going to see Black Abyss tomorrow night at the Roxy. Would you like to come? But okay, here's what I think is the great tragedy of dying. You spend all this time, making your brain better.
Yeah.
We laugh at kids or young adults who make fun of us because we're older. And really, it's such a silly flex when they do that, because if they only knew, and when they get to our age, they'll feel the same way, that, okay, we're not as cute as we used to be, but we just know so much more than you do, because we spent so much more days learning. You learn something every day. And so we get to this point where our brain is just way more evolved than it was at 30. I know yours is.
Well,
I know yours is.
My kids know me through my dad jokes growing up. I'm still. I lost all credibility.
You
just through the dad
accumulated
jokes.
all this wisdom, and then it dies. That's this tragedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm dying at the top of my game mentally.
Yeah.
Not the top of my game physically, probably. I guess
Uh-huh.
I get that.
Well, but also,
But
I mean, I don't know if you've experienced it this way, but also, why did I wait to have a sense of general? And I'm not talking about without a clear eye for the anguish in the world, but on the micro, a peace. Like I
Oh.
wake up every day in this
right,
beautiful gift we've been given,
exactly.
and I thought, why did I wait so long for that? Yeah, fuck it, let's go. We'll just do
Right.
it. You
And
know?
that's what I mean. That brain is the one that should be preserved. Like if you killed me at 30, no big loss. you're just taking out an idiot.
It's funny. Going back to Mujica, he said, you know, on his last day,
Mojica.
he says when he goes out, he wants to be like that guy who comes into a bar, says to the bartender, "This one's on me."
that Mojica. On the Navajo thing, I have played many Indian casinos, including the Mohegan Sun. And
I thought you were going to say, I went back to like Gunsmoke, and I saw you playing an Indian in my head. And you said I was playing Indian casinos. I think you couldn't do that today.
Why don't you do a Western?
It'd be
Why
great
don't
to
you
do a
do
Western.
a fucking Western?
It'd be great to do a Western.
It would be.
Yeah.
Westerns are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know it?
Yeah, of course.
What a work.
Well, he was a slamming director. I mean, he was so inventive, and you know, even and the people that he like, Ennio Morricone, who wrote for me what the most
score.
Yeah,
right?
and he did it in such an eccentric way that had never been done in a Western before, and all of those things were revolutionary. Morricone wrote there's a piece of Gabriel's Oboe that not in that, but it's I think the most beautiful piece of music.
The score for Once Upon a Time in America, his other one.
Yep, he was great.
All right, thank you for coming.